having a wonderful day. So welcome to another speed build. This was a requested build. I had so much fun with this, so thank you so much for requesting. This is a family farm I have built on the Chieftain's Villa lot in Sulani. This is a restricted build. I have only used island living and cottage living with this and the base game, of course. It was surprisingly easy. At first I wasn't sure whether the two packs necessarily went together. The styles are very different and some of the color swatches that we have with Island Living don't really match with any of the other packs that we have, but some of them did go really well. I originally was going to use the shutters, the window options with the red shutters, but after kind of looking at the red options that we have with the Island Living pack, they were a little bit brighter and didn't really match exactly. And I know that doesn't really bother some people, but it did kind of bother me. So I did find that this nice kind of red toned wood swatch was very similar in both packs, and I did really like it. So I've gone with that pretty much everywhere. I did have some help from my Discord group with the layout of this build, so thank you to those people who did help me. It was specifically with the kitchen. I wasn't really sure kind of how to lay this house out exactly. I did a couple of different shells and none of them really, I wasn't particularly happy with them, and I showed them kind of the shell that I did before this one, and they suggested a couple things. One of them was the kitchen was separated, mostly due to like the heat and potential fire hazard in these particular building or house designs. So I thought that I would try and incorporate this, try and make it as realistic as possible. Obviously it's The Sims, not everything is going to translate particularly well, and there were a couple of other design features that I wanted to include that just didn't, like, they didn't work properly in the game due to limitations with the building and the grid system and everything. So I kind of tried my best. But I am really happy with how this came out. I'm almost done with the shell now, actually. So this is a 3-bedroom house. There are 2 bedrooms upstairs and then like the main bedroom is downstairs. The bedroom downstairs does have an ensuite. I wasn't really sure whether I should include it or not, like whether the door should be on the kind of lounge room side instead of on the bedroom side, but it kind of worked. And it just worked out. The upstairs bathroom is a lot bigger than the downstairs one. But I thought, you know, if you've got children or toddlers or teens or whoever else living upstairs in this house, then they will probably need a bigger bathroom than an ensuite downstairs. I originally wasn't going to include like terrain tools with this one. I'd mapped out the lot without terrain tools first, and I did like the way that it was looking, but it kind of just looked a little bit, I don't know, not bland per se, but it didn't really look like something that I had built. It just was very flat, and being on this particular lot, it made sense to have it slightly elevated in some spots so that you could see over the trees and everything that are at the back of this lot down to the water behind it. I do really like the view that you get from this lot, so I wanted to make sure that you could see it. I don't think I've done too much terrain, but we will start on it once I finish doing the exterior. I was looking at the like debug houses or live edit houses that we have in the background of this world, and some of them had this kind of odd shaped roof that I really liked the look of, so I tried to recreate it using these roof decorative pieces. I'm not really sure what you call them, but I liked the shape that it gave the rest of the house. It was kind of just, I could probably have done it with just normal roof pieces, but I liked the red on these particular decorative pieces. So everything in this house is very much open. I did struggle with what to include in, not the entryway, but sort of like the hallway section. I use the right hand side of the build as like the lounge area, and then the left hand side is where the dining table is, but then I had like a big section in the middle between the front and the back door that I didn't really know what to put there. I think I've just put a rug and kind of left it at that. But there is quite a bit of space, so if you had things that you wanted to include, maybe like a chess table for example, then that would probably go quite nicely. So I am about to start on the terrain tools in just a second. I was looking for something to put on this roof at the back here. I'm pretty sure once I raise this house up and do all of the landscaping that it, like, the pillars kind of jump back down again and then I forget to put them back up. But I do believe the roof just looked a little bit plain at the back. There was quite a lot of detail on the rest of the lot, and then the back just looked a little bit plain for me. But once I've done all the landscaping and everything, I didn't notice it, so hopefully it isn't noticeable to anyone else. I didn't include me doing the landscaping in this one. I thought I was recording, but turns out I wasn't. So I really need to stop doing that. I need to check and make sure that I am actually recording, because I've done that a couple times now and I get really annoyed with myself. So this is kind of like, I guess you could say it's like in a gradient. I think that makes sense. So the back of the lot is higher than the front of the lot. So what I was kind of thinking when I was doing this, I wanted to include this bridge, and I wanted to include the island living waterfall because I just had to. You know, I do like doing waterfalls, and when I'm using an island living pack, I have to use the waterfall. Basically. But on the top section that you can see kind of to the right of the screen that I'm flattening out now, I put like the chicken coop up there. I was going to include the cow and llama shed, but it just didn't fit on this lot. I probably could have done it on the, is it the shipwreck lot? I'm not sure what it's called. The big one near the volcano. I probably could have included it if I'd built over there, but when I initially tried, I kind of didn't really have the inspiration, I guess, to build on that lot. But as soon as I switched over to this one, I kind of had quite a lot of ideas. So I feel like my inspiration definitely comes from the lot that I'm building on. Anyway, so I end up actually making this bridge functional. I wanted to make it functional initially, but I was having trouble with this platform, and the bridges curved, and then like they were clipping, and it was just a whole thing. But I do end up making it work. It's a little bit odd when you watch in the cinematic tour at the end. I do include a shot of my sim walking over this bridge. I've kind of used platforms to help them so that they're not like cut off at the knee when they're standing on this bridge. So it does look a little bit strange, but it is functional. Anyway, back to what I was saying about that flat piece at the top that I'm now adding here. This is where the chickens are. So what I had in mind with this, I have fenced them in, so if you don't want your chickens roaming around the lot, then you can just lock the gate for them. But what I did notice was I'm pretty sure that they can jump up like one step or like one platform height. I know they can't use stairs because I have tried that. But I really liked, I saw a video on Twitter and it was the cutest thing. And this particular simmer had videoed her chickens walking through her lot, like through her house, and they went from the back door through the kitchen out the front door and then jumped down like the little platform, and it was just adorable. So I really wanted to see that happen. Unfortunately, my chickens decided to sleep when I was filming for this, so they didn't go anywhere near my house. They just stayed in the little pen. But what I have done is moved the terrain up to the back of the lot, so like the back porch area. So if you wanted them to come into your house, then they should be able to by the back door, but the front door, there are stairs leading up to it, so they won't be able to get out of the front. So it's up to you, obviously, whether you want to have them roaming around your house or not, or whether you just want to keep them in the pen. You could always elevate the house by another one and then add stairs, and then, you know, they won't go anywhere near your house. So this piece of rock here, I tried to use it in my 100 baby medieval home, and I couldn't get my sim to walk under it. I wasn't sure whether it was because I had resized it or whether it's just the footprint of this particular item doesn't allow your sims to walk through it. So I elevated it from the basement, which is what I did on the 100 baby home too. So the footprint kind of is on the floor underneath them, so they don't even register it and just walk straight through it, which I think is really cool. These rocks are from cottage living. The ones by the waterfall are from island living. These ones remind me of the snowy escape rocks. I'm pretty sure they are like exactly the same, but I really like them. They're kind of a nice curved shape, so they blend in really nicely. I don't think these ones rotate. These ones from Island Living do, which is what I'm about to do here. I wanted it to be kind of flat, but I couldn't get it to be flat, and then I noticed that they rotated, so I could pretty much make them in any shape that I wanted. I did want to include them underneath the house in some places where the terrain is like too steep to allow you to put any paint on, but every time I tried to move them in just the right position, they ended up being like clusters indoors, and then they interfered with the footprint of like the kitchen especially. So I had to do quite a lot of like re-landscaping, I guess, after I had finished this build. So I don't include the landscaping in this because a lot of it is different. There's quite a lot of things missing, and there's features that I really liked that I had to delete, and the video was too long anyway, so I thought, you know, something had to go. So unfortunately the landscaping did, but it's pretty simple. I have tried to include as much of it as I possibly can in the tour at the end, so I hope that's okay. I have planted this garden. I'm pretty sure I uploaded the planted version, but there is some coconut and plantain trees. I've put watermelons in. I was going to include some other giant crops, but the watermelons seemed the most appropriate. And then I've included the island living crops and a couple of, I think, tomato and onion bushes, because they kind of seemed like they would be the most appropriate ones too. So we are moving on to the inside now. You may have noticed that I kind of played around with my reshade a little bit. So I'm still using Dove. I will link it in the description for you. It's the same reshade as I was using at the beginning of the video, but I have put one more, I've toggled one more filter on, and that is the LiftGammaGain filter. It gives it this kind of orangey sepia look to it, and I really liked it for this particular world. I've tried to keep most of my reshades very lightweight because they tend to lag a lot, and especially when I'm doing the tour at the end, I notice that my videos tend to stutter a little bit, and it's not really very enjoyable to watch when the camera's just very jumpy. It's not very smooth. And so originally I turned one of the MXAO filters off, so I only had one MXAO toggled on, and it was still very laggy, and I couldn't understand what it was, and I searched everywhere and I couldn't find anything, so I just kind of put up with it, and then I ended up just building with a different one. I used the Sumemi version 2 quite a lot for building and gameplay because it's very lightweight. It doesn't lag for me at all, but the Dove one did, and it was making me sad. But when I was kind of playing around with this one, I thought, I was looking specifically for a thumbnail and some screenshots, and thought that, you know, the shadows weren't really what I wanted. So I toggled the LiftGammaGain on and the second MXAO filter on, and for some reason it fixed the lag problem, which I was thinking it was going to be worse. I was expecting it to be a lot worse. but it seemed to like completely fix it. So I'm not really sure what happened there, but I'm really pleased that it did. So yeah, if you want to know, that's it. So I really wanted to include some of this landscaping inside. I've seen it done a couple of times in builds like these, specifically Sulani focused builds, and I really like the look of them. I've tried to use pretty much all island living plants. I've used a couple of base game ones, but most of these are island living, and I just really liked the huge planter boxes inside. I've also included one on the landing upstairs. I did that after I had finished recording. I wasn't going to put anything out there. I think I put a rug and some lights and just left it because not very many people really care about what the hallway or the landing upstairs looks like, because it's very kind of, I wouldn't say it was a redundant area, but it's not really somewhere that you necessarily play. It's just somewhere that your Sims walk through to get from one room to the next. So I don't tend to decorate them very often, but it was quite a lot of space up there, and I didn't want to extend the bathroom anymore because it would have been a huge bathroom. It's already big enough as it is. So I thought I would just include another planter area. So this is the main bedroom downstairs. My kind of the family that I were already on this lot. So I have MC Command Center in my game, and I basically have turned all autonomy and story progression and all of those options, I have them all toggled on into like the highest settings. So basically, if I didn't touch my game, they would still carry on living and, you know, forming relationships and getting married and things by themselves. So what I tend to do is just go with the family that have already kind of occupied the lot. And this was the family that was on this lot. There were 2 Sims and their toddler. I did go in and give them a little bit of a touch-up makeover to make them a little bit more appropriate for the world. They looked like they would probably overheat in some of their outfits. So I did change them up a little bit, but I tend to go with their stories a little bit that the game has formed for me as kind of inspiration for them. So yeah, there was 2 Sims and their toddler. You will see them in the tour at the end, which I think they're really cute. I really like them. So, you know, I might end up playing with them. So in here, this is the kitchen. I have separated it, like I said earlier. I did delete these stalls. When I was trying to play test, I wasn't sure whether the kitchen was, like, my Sim basically wouldn't cook. Like, she wouldn't do anything. She would get the items out the fridge and that was it. She wouldn't do anything else. And I wasn't sure whether it was because maybe she couldn't get to a free counter or whether one of the stalls was in the way. I'm not sure, but I deleted all of that. I redesigned the kitchen, and then I realized that it was actually a couple of the plants that were on the outside underneath the house that I've moved over with the tool mod. I did think originally that they were like further away, like the footprint was further away from the house, and it definitely hadn't jumped up to the next level, like on this level, but obviously I'd maybe missed one, I don't know. So I did have to redo quite a lot of that landscaping on the outside. I was looking for pictures to put up, and these ones that we got in the last update are absolutely perfect. They're so bright and colourful and so pretty, and I've been just hoping and praying for a build that I can include them in, because I've wanted to use them ever since we got the update, and they've just not looked right in the builds. Most of the ones that I've done have been very kind of, not colourless, but they've been very plain, very beige, and I don't know, I suppose I could have just put them in and just said, well, hey, you know, they're great pictures, so I'm just going to put them in. But they did work perfectly for this house, so I was very pleased to use them. The inside wall paints for this house I really struggled with. I was looking at a lot of different builds that have used island living, and I really struggled with finding wall paint, but I end up just going with this one in, I think it's like white, it might be beige, and then using like a accent wall on all of the bedrooms, which I think looks really cool. So I have one bedroom left to decorate, which I've decorated it as like a child teen bedroom, but it could be a spare room, whichever you would prefer. And then we are on to the cinematic tour. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you have enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions for future videos that you would like to see, or future builds maybe for your own family, then I would love to hear them. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you next time. Bye everyone!